All right, today we are going to get into one of the most important, but honestly, one of the most misunderstood parts of project management, integration. If you get this right, you've got a masterpiece on your hands. But if you get it wrong, well, you've got a spectacular failure. It's the secret ingredient, and we're going to break it all down. So let's start with a little thought experiment. I want you to picture an orchestra where the violins are off in their own world, the drums are playing a completely different rhythm, and the poor conductor looks totally lost. Now, picture a project. It's way over budget, hopelessly behind schedule, and nobody's happy with the results. See the connection? What do they both share? That's it, right there. A lack of integration. It really is that simple. Without it, you don't get harmony. You just get a bunch of noise. You don't get a successful project. You get pure chaos. Okay, so how do we fix this mess? How do you turn all that noise into beautiful music? Well, just like every orchestra needs a conductor, every single project needs a project manager who has mastered the art of integration. So what are we really talking about when we say project integration management? Look at the keywords here: combine, unify, coordinate. This is the big picture stuff. It's not about just managing one little task over here. It's about weaving everything, and I mean everything, together so all the pieces work as a single harmonious whole. And this image, wow, it just perfectly captures the challenge, right? The project manager, our conductor, is pretty much living on this seesaw. They have to constantly balance the scope of the project with the budget, the schedule with the quality, and the risks with the available resources. It is a non-stop, dynamic process of making smart trade-offs to keep the entire project perfectly in tune. Think about it. Before a single musician plays a note, the conductor needs a score. In our world, that's the planning phase. This is where we write the master plan that's going to guide every single move we make. And it all kicks off right here with the project charter. This is like the official poster that announces the concert. It names the conductor, our project manager, and gives them the formal authority to start hiring the musicians and booking the rehearsal space. It's the document that officially breathes life into the project. Now, the official process for creating this charter can seem a little complicated, but let's be real. It's just like following a recipe. First, you gather your ingredients. These are your inputs, like the business case that explains why we're even doing this project. Then, you use your tools and techniques. And finally, you get your delicious result, the official signed project charter. So speaking of those ingredients, there are two key types you gotta know. You've got what are called enterprise environmental factors, or EEFs. Think of these as things you just can't control, like government regulations or the market conditions. That's kind of like the acoustics of the concert hall itself. Then you have organizational process assets, or OPAs. These are your internal goodies, templates, past project files, lessons learned. That's your organization's private library of musical scores. And one of the most powerful tools in your toolbox isn't some fancy software. It's people. Expert judgment is all about tapping into the wisdom of those who've been there and done that. Consultants, key stakeholders, subject matter experts. A great conductor doesn't write the music in a locked room. They collaborate and listen to their experts. Okay, so the charter is signed and approved. Now it's time to write the full score. This is the big one, the project management plan. It's a super comprehensive document that spells out exactly how every single part of the project, from the scope and the schedule to communication and risk, is going to be executed, monitored, and controlled. The plan is written. The musicians are all tuned up and ready to go. Now, the conductor steps up to the podium, raises their baton, and the performance begins. We are in the execution phase. The official name for this phase is Direct and Manage Project Execution, and this is where the magic really happens. The team is building, they're creating, they're coding, they are producing the actual deliverables of the project. The project manager's job here is to guide all that work, making sure it stays perfectly aligned with that master plan we created. But hey, as any performer will tell you, no live show ever goes exactly according to the script. A guitar string might break, an actor might miss a cue. Things happen. So how does a truly great conductor handle these sudden, unexpected moments? They listen, and they listen intently. In project management, this is the monitor and control process. The project manager is constantly tracking the project's performance, comparing what's actually happening on the ground to what the plan said should be happening. They're listening for any note that's even slightly out of key. And here is the absolute key. When a change is needed, you can't just deal with it in a vacuum. If the lead singer wants to change the key of a song, the conductor has to think, okay, how does this affect the guitarist, the bassist, the drummer?
That change has to be integrated across the entire project, the entire band.
And luckily, there's a formal process for this. It's called Perform Integrated Change Control. It's basically a roadmap that makes sure every single change request is reviewed, analyzed, and approved in a smart, structured way. This keeps random, chaotic changes from completely derailing the whole performance.
So, how's this roadmap work? It's pretty logical. Step 1, you identify the need for a change. Maybe a stakeholder wants a new feature. Step 2, you analyze the impact. The PM thinks, what will this do to our budget, our timeline, our resources? Step 3, you get approval. You assess the options and get the final go-ahead. And only then, in step 4, do you actually adjust the master plan so that everyone is working from the same updated sheet of music.
So, after navigating the entire performance, managing all the unexpected changes, and hitting that final powerful note, it's time for the final bow. The project is coming to a close. This last process is called close project or phase. And look, it's not just about stopping the work. It's about formally completing all the activities, handing over that amazing final product to the happy client, and officially bringing the project to its well-earned conclusion. And what comes out of this phase is so important. Of course, you hand over the final product, but just as critically, you archive all of your documents. And maybe most importantly, you document your lessons learned. Why? Because this ensures all the knowledge you gained from this performance makes your organization's entire music library that much richer for the next show. So if there's just one thing you remember from all this, let it be this. Integration is not a single task you check off a list. It is the continuous, high-level art of the project manager, our conductor, constantly weaving together every person, every task, and every resource to turn potential chaos into a beautiful, successful symphony. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought, doesn't it? We all manage projects in our careers, in our homes, in our personal lives. So the real question is, in the big, important projects of your own life, who's the conductor making sure it all comes together in harmony?